came to America, we were living in the east by the Nile River, living in luxury, enjoying freedom, justice, and equality. We wore silken robes and slippers of gold. We were the wealthiest and the wisest people, I'm told. Now we are the poorest of the poor. Nobody wants us at their door. So my friend, it's easy to tell, white man heaven is a black man hell.
Said, accept your own and be yourself. Accept your own. The Caucasians who brought our fathers into slavery desired to take us away from our own people, our own culture, our own religion, our own God, our own language.
Challenge the things that are destroying our community. So this ain't no punk time. This ain't no temple time, mosque time, or church time. All the singing and shouting and preaching is over. Get in them streets now, block by block. We're going to have to clean it up. The air is not enough. The television screen is not enough. You got to put boots on the ground who are trained and are willing to make the sacrifice of life itself to see our community made a decent place to live.
Attention. Drill.
Soldiering is a part of the Nation of Islam, and it readies all of us to obey the commands of God. Now some will ask, well, why military drill? Because this is what produces the camaraderie.
Facebook and Instagram thought that they could ban the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
But in reality, they can't, because he already lives in us and millions of others.
قل أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Assalamu alaikum, family. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Peace, family. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of WHID-FM. Tonight is Sunday, July 26th, and we're happy to bring you to a forum where believers come to share their own personal journey and testimony in their own words in the way of Islam, as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad through our his chief helper, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So tonight, family, we're going to introduce our guest for tonight, which is Student Minister Ernest Muhammad. He was born in Georgetown, Guyana in South America to Ernest and Louise Barnwell in 1961. He was brought to New York, USA in 1969 at the age of 7. He attended college at the State University of New York College of Cortland and graduated with a bachelor's degree in health sciences pre-med. While in Cortland, he met and married the love of his life, Sister Marie. Together, they have been blessed with 3 beautiful children, 4 grandchildren, and 1 on the way. Also in college, in February of 1981, he heard the voice of God through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, a life-changing event leading him to the way of life he presently strives to live. Brother Ernest has been a registered member of the Nation of Islam since 1985. After serving for 14 years as the student minister in Norfolk, Virginia, he has been relocated to serve as a study group coordinator in Petersburg, Virginia. So we'd like to welcome you to the show, Student Minister Ernest Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Brother Ernest, can you hear me? One second, fam. I'm going to check his audio to make sure he is connected with us. Brother Ernest, let me know when you can hear me and I will get started. Looks like I don't hear any audio coming in from his side. Brother Ernest, if possible, you might want to sign out and sign back in and make sure you are connected to the audio on your side, because I don't get any feedback. Yeah, Brother Ernest, we can't hear or see you. One second, family. Technical difficulties tend to happen, so we're going to try to plug back into Brother Ernest. He's going to sign back out and sign back in. And family, while we're waiting for him to do that, if you have any questions that you desire to ask, please feel free to put it in the chat and I will make sure that we add it to. I know sometimes when we do interviews, we can't get to all the questions, but we want to make sure that we get to as many questions that we can as night. We do have preloaded questions, but we want to make sure we can get to your questions that you have for our dear brother as well. So we'll give it another couple of minutes and make sure he comes back in, and then we will go ahead and get started from our brother. And since we're waiting for our brother to come in, I do want to go ahead, and since we have a little time, to go ahead and let everyone know about the guests that we will have next week. We usually do our station ID at the end of the show, but since our brother it's taking a little time to come on, he just want to make sure that he gets his audio right. We want to let everyone know about our guests that we will have next week. So our guests that we will have next week will be, inshallah, special guest Brother Jeffrey 4X and Lajuro X. So they will be our guests for next Sunday. So that way, when our brother comes on, we won't have to pause to introduce who we'll have next week. We'll give our brother another couple of minutes. And family, once again, we thank you for your patience as we're striving to get our brother back on so we can go ahead and begin the interview. Brother Ernest, can you hear me now? I can see you now. I can't hear your audio. Not sure what format you're using, but it might be a mic icon that you can click to get the audio through. Yeah, I still can't hear any of your audio coming through. I thought I heard a little feedback, but maybe oh no. Brother Ernest, I don't know if you want to try. I see your sound, but now it's saying you're on mute. it's like every time you take the mute off that it's like it's a little static coming through. I'm not sure what that is. Let's see.
All right. There you go. I got you.
Got me? Oh, praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
Modern technology.
Yeah,
Okay, now I need it. Yeah, I gotta get you. Yeah, it is. I gotta get you a little bigger. How do I? You know what?
Well, we can see you clearly fine now.
Praise,
So praise be to Allah.
That's how.
So you know,
how are you, sister?
I'm doing well, sir. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine by the grace of Allah, and I thank you for that introduction. I didn't know who you were reading about. I was wow. You sound like he's important.
Yes, sir. We all have greatness inside of us, so we gotta be able to express it. Praise be to Allah. Wow. When I was reading your bio, one of the first questions that actually came to mind when I read it, when you said you heard the voice of God through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I want you to kind of formulate that for me, for the audience, because a lot of times people hear truth and they may hear truth or they may not really understand what they're hearing. What made you say you heard the voice of God when you heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in college in 1981?
Oh man, I gotta set that up. That I just can't. You know, that's not one of those things. You know.
Right.
First of all, in the name of Allah, who's known by many names, but we call him Allah. We thank him for all the prophets, but we especially thank him for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'd like to greet my beloved brothers, sisters in the audience, my dear sister, Sister Janine.
Okay.
Janine
Yes,
Muhammad, Brother Wesley, Brother Donald. I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to share my life story. I want to first of all, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
I want to preface that. It was a brother by the name of Brother Maurice, and good brother in college, on the night that I heard the voice of God through the album Minister Louis Farrakhan. He invited me upstairs to it was just a speaker that came in that they invited, and they called his name Farrakhan. I had no idea who that was. So he said, yeah, come on upstairs, brother. Come check it out, because he's recruiting people to come in. The majority of people who were in that audience, about 250 people, the auditorium was able to hold about 400. So maybe about, I want to say about 25 blacks. Okay, so it's a mostly white audience. All right. So he said, come on upstairs. He said, this man, yes and no, brother, I got to study. This man, he teach like Malcolm X. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Yeah, man, I got to study. He said, well, brother, this man is wanted by the FBI and the CIA, which I'm not sure he was. But that got my attention, because, it's white folks. So I went upstairs and I didn't sit in the front like I normally do, because we were told, when you're black, it was a predominantly white university, and there's only 1% of us. So we were told, you want to sit up front so that the teacher would recognize you, So, because I was scared of this man, because he was wanted by the CIA and the FBI, I sit maybe about 5 or 6 rows back. So I sat down, and man, told me everything I needed to hear. I had a beautiful Black Studies class the semester before, because all of us who registered in the Educational Opportunity Program for Cortland, they had to go through this Black Studies course. It's excellent, but I didn't hear anything that really lifted my spirit until I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He talked to me for what I needed to hear. I knew about, he talked about the Mendelian law in his lecture. And I knew something about Mendelian law because I was in biology. That's my favorite subject in college, in high school. So when he started to talk about it, he pulled out the parts that, the other teachers didn't teach about, right? He said something I knew. He said, light eyes. No, first he said the Mendelian law is about dominant and recessive. So I said, yeah, that's right. Then he said light skin is recessive. And he said dark skin is dominant. I opened up. I said, yeah, that's right. They didn't teach that. Then he said light eyes is recessive and dark eyes. Then he said, you can get the recessive from the dominant, but never the dominant from the recessive. I said, oh my God, that's right. No, you should. That opened up my eyes. And it scientifically put, to me, Black people on top. He scientifically proved to me that the Black man is the original man. And I had a hard time growing up. I look like a brother from Africa, right? And I am. I'm from South America, but you could tell. I missed that continent. I just came straight to America. So, and being dark skinned, it was very tough growing up, with my identity. So when he said that kind of put me right back, and that's what I needed to hear. And the whole lecture, there's a whole lot of other things that he said in the lecture that continued to wake me up. It was like I was being dunked in water. Wow. And he at the end of the lecture, I recognized that was the voice of God. That's who I needed to hear in my life. And 1 week later, I said, man, I got to learn more. So I went to my first study group. I won't call it. It was on Saturday. And Am I getting ahead of myself?
No, no, no. Go ahead.
I'm not. Okay,
No,
yeah,
go
because
ahead.
that's why I called him the voice of God, because he gave me all the answers that I needed in that first sitting.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
but the first meeting that I went to, which kind of solidified it, but it was a great test.
Yes, sir.
There was a brother in the class by the name of Anthony 4X from New York, 5%, and he was in Mosque in New York, Mosque number 7, and he said, "Brother, and man, but Muslims don't eat pork." I said, "What?" Yeah, brother. Oh, that crushed me. I might, you know what? That if there was one thing initially that would have derailed my progression into the Nation of Islam, that would be it right there. Because I had a favorite, sausage sandwich. I mean, I put that together, man. That was my world. But first test, and I was happy that that was a good one,
Yes, sir.
because I said, you know what, I want Islam more than I want this pork. So I went down to the student union building, and I told a lady, give me that ham sandwich. All the lettuce, all the cheese, put extra ham on it. And that was the last ham sandwich that I ate in my
Wow.
life. That was 1981. And
Wow.
I'm 60. 1981. That's 45 years ago, right?
Yes, sir.
So that was my eye opening. And there's a whole bunch of them, but those were the two initial ones, that kind of solidified my journey into the nation.
Yes, sir. Praise be the Lord. Well, we appreciate your transparency because it's needed. I mean, everything is real, right? So
Yes, man.
definitely appreciate the transparency on that question. And you actually kind of led me a little bit into the next question. Now, you were born in Georgetown, is it Guyana?
Guyana, yes, ma'am.
Yes. And you moved to the United States at the age of 7. So what are some of your earliest memories of Guyana, and how did that transition shape you, do you think?
Well, I have a memories, 7 years old, basically the type of life that you were living. Back in the 60s, I mean, we had a community bath. You didn't have baths in the apartment, so we had to go outside and take a shower. I think they did have toilets back then, if I can remember correctly. That was in the city of Georgetown that we lived in. So I remember walking bare feet. We kept shoes for Sunday, and when we had to go out to someplace important. So those were memories. I remember Berbice, and Berbice is the country where my mother's adopted lived, and she took care of me for about 2 years after I was born. She had a yard, grew all. I mean, you had to grow your own vegetables and fruits and everything. Kill your own chicken, everything. But I felt it was a beautiful life, and she really loved me. I remember her fondly. So I just had love, basically in the early part of my life. I don't remember the hardship. I remember my father. He he didn't really stay with us as much. He was kind of like a philanderer, So, but I remember some lessons that he gave me. You know, let me see, what else can I really pull from there? I was like the minister. My dad was, like I told you, a philanderer.
Mm-hmm.
So he, um, you know, was with my mom and got her pregnant several times, and she, she miscarried or aborted 3 times before me. I was the fourth child, and she was going. She said she was going to abort me, but she said for some reason I wasn't going. So she decided to keep me, and she was at the end of her nursing program anyway.
Mm.
So I think that had a lot of bearing on my life, you
Yes,
know.
sir.
And I think she was kind of concerned that she was going to get thrown out of the program. So the prayer was in there, and very strong in my life. I think is a sense of God, is a sense of prayer,
Mm.
um, faith. So I had that's why I was led to the Nation of Islam and accepted it because of the you know yeah, I guess the circumstances in my early part of my life.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Mhm.
now, we fast forward going back to now, you're in college. So, what inspired you to pursue health sciences and pre-med? And the second
Uh-huh.
part of that question is, and you led a little into it. Well, I believe so, because you said your mother was in medicine and a nursing program.
Right.
But the second part to that question is, did your education influence the way you approach Islam? Like, is there anything that you learned in pre-med Islam that allowed you to kind of be like an eye-opening experience as you were continuing to study
Wow.
pre-med?
You asked some very serious questions, girl. Praise be to Allah. Very good. Let me see. Yes, my mother's nursing career and basically her spirit. Um, that absolutely was a part of mine, you know. And plus, being the oldest child out of six, it kind of makes you like that kind of beneficent,
Mm,
caring person because I had to care for my younger brothers and sisters. My mom was a single mom. So that gave me that spirit, that nursing, medicine type of caring spirit. But actually, what got me to that college was I met one of the very few male teachers. He was a white guy, and he was in the gym. Um, I think, if I can remember correctly, it was like probably in 10th grade. And he said, "Man, you're a very nice person." Which New York, I'm not sure what that means. But he said that I think that you could be like me, a gym teacher. And I think that you should try your best to get into that profession. So he actually stamped me, and I pursued that in my own way, you know. So when I graduated, I chose a college that was the teacher college of New York, and the number one physical education college in the state of New York. So ended up in Cortland, and then after I did it for about, I said I was in the major for maybe about 2 years. I said to myself, because gym teachers back then weren't making that much money,
mm,
so yeah, they were struggling, very very much underpaid. So I said, you know what, I need to get in a profession I can make some more money. And health sciences used to be called health sciences then, but today the same set of courses would be called pre-med.
mm,
So I jumped into that, and I felt it was really a parallel type of nature. So I went into that, and I felt more comfortable. I felt like I was going to do something. But
mm,
there's one thing about medicine, or the art of healing. healing, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, there are three disciplines that you can study God better, and that's colors, right? Art, colors, and sound, music, and healing, right? So healing was another way, the way I chose to really experience God and to increase my faith. And in healing, I see that's the spirit to always repair, because that's one of the greatest things about the body, right? The body heals itself. You know, you just have to give it, a little medicine. You tune up your mind, eat the right foods, right, and your body will heal itself. So as a doctor, all you're doing is you're just making sure the body has the right resources to do that. So as a even a minister, to repair, to put something together, you're kind of like a doctor. You're putting people in a place to be successful. You are keeping a body together, keep it strong, so that body will be functional in the best way. So that's how, in a sense, I see the healing and that kind of spirit.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be
Now,
to Allah.
going a little further into health science. Now, a lot of people, now in this culture, you have people who more so lean on the side of Western medicine. You have people who lean more on the holistic side. And so the balance, it's always a struggle for balance, because as Black people, we have a history of not trusting the medical industry for good reason, because it's what's done for us. So what's been done to us. So when you think about Black people as a culture and our relationship to the medical industry, what tips would you give Black people on how they approach, going to the doctor, taking advice, and just knowing how to filter what's right, what's wrong, etc.?
Sister, that another loaded question. But the first thing I would say is for anyone to first read How to Eat to Live, Book 1 and Book 2, written by Elijah Muhammad. To understand and put medicine into perspective. Because in this society, medicine is, these people are like gods, right? You go to them and they tell you anything, and you're supposed to drop it all and believe everything they say, not knowing that this is a business. In America, health is a business, and it's not supposed, that's immoral. It's not supposed to be that. Okay, so that's the other aspect of it. If you understand it's a bit, and then business is warfare. Right. In this society, that's what business is, and we've always been on a losing end of that war. So we have to, in a sense, get the perspective right and go in and always look for someone that looks like you. All right, I'm gonna give a little story to illustrate this point. I got injured last Monday, and I didn't know what happened until I really thought about it. And I said, man. Anyway, I couldn't walk on Tuesday, so I couldn't go into work. I had to call in and go to the doctor, and they took an X-ray. And the physician that I saw on Friday, he came in, young boy, probably about 28 years old, and he said, "Hey, your X-ray looks pretty bad. you can see right here where there's a little indentation, and it you know, it doesn't look good. So I recommend number one that you take some more pills. I said, okay. Then he said, I said, well, it seems, doc, that you can shave this part of my bone, of my cartilage, so that, you know, the rough edges will be taken out and it'll be able to, you know, kind of roll a little smoother. It was my hip, you know. The other hip, fine. The other, he said, is arthritis and it's no good. So he said, yes, no doctor would do that for you. And I said, well, how about the injections? Yes, but the statistics does not really support it. You know, it doesn't really work. So I said, okay. So I said, well, then what you recommend, doc? I recommend a hip replacement.
Wow.
So I said, whoa, this is a live one. So I said, doc, you can't, you know, it's my hip. Why can't you shave it off? He said, no one would do that. So, you know, obviously he was in there, right, to recommend to me the highest priced procedure so that the hospital would make maximum money. That's thousands of dollars. We're talking about $30,000, $40,000, right? So therapy was out the question, but therapy is an option. He didn't suggest that. He jumped past that. He said, you need a hip replacement. I said, okay. So in my mind, you know, I already know there's racism in medicine. You know, so you need to have a second opinion, and the second opinion should come from a doctor that looks like you. You need to seek out your own. All right. Your statistics bears that you will fare better with somebody that has, you know, your interest in mind, and they understand the level of racism in the medical field. I mean, it is a money-making business entity. You know, we need to be careful with supplements. You know, I take a lot of them, and it's important. But one of our doctors in the past say that there's no regulation on supplements. So when we take it, we don't know if there's actual glucosamine in the pills that we take, right? They don't have to. There's no regulation. They're trying, but there's no regulation. You know, so that's I'm not sure if I answered the question completely.
Yes, sir, you did.
If you have any, a follow-up question to make me zero in on an answer, that would be fantastic. But you know, that's how I see it. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Well, what you just mentioned to spark something, you said there's no FDA regulations on supplements. So is it that some of the supplements can have sort of like a placebo effect and not really be doing what it needs to do? And how do you know which supplements to take? Because as we know, the food today is robbed of its vitamins. So we can probably eat a meal the best we can, and we're still not getting the daily intake that we need. So how do we decipher what supplements to take and what's best?
I mean, it is so difficult. What we were told by one of our doctors in the past is to you know, go to a health food store and then look for certified supplements. You know, there's a seal on some of them, and some of the health food stores actually stand by their product, you know, or they may have a store brand that they stand by. And that's basically who I trust, you know. Like I said, I take a whole host of them. I take about 15, you know, but I make sure that I go around and I spend the money. I spend the money. And for that, you know, I think I owe some good health too, you know. So that's what I would do. Brother Ernest would recommend. I'm not a doctor, but I would recommend that. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. We appreciate that, because I mean, this is information that we definitely need to know. You know, a lot of times, I see black people even when I'm going to whether it's a nutrition store or whether it's a flea market, to be honest, and people sell
Uh-huh.
things that we're grabbing and not
Right.
knowing that everything, we should be looking for a certified label. So
Right.
definitely
Right.
appreciate that.
Mhm.
I want
There's a sister by the name of Sister Tasha Muhammad
uh-huh.
out of Norfolk, Virginia. She is our herbal expert, and I've been taking some of her herbs, and I've been very satisfied with what she has given. um, so if you find someone like that, you know,
Mhm.
um, and I trust her, you know,
Mhm.
there's others that do give her the thumbs up also. Um, Beautiful sister. Pray that you find someone like that, you know.
Yes, sir.
But we have them. They're in the nation.
Yes, sir. We absolutely do.
They are. Yeah.
Praise be to Allah. And the next question I have, I want to pivot a little bit because you said also in your bio that you met your wife, Sister Marie, while in Cortland. So how
Right.
has your marriage helped strengthen your faith and your service over the years?
Oh, you cannot. That's 50% of your faith. So teaches Prophet Muhammad. Marriage is 50% of your faith. You're not a man until you can prove it by a woman. So teach the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So you know, the running a mosque, right, is very, very difficult. Running a study group is very difficult, you know. But you have 40, 50 different personalities, and you have to keep them working, focusing on the mission at hand. That's difficult. So marriage helps you to go through those days where things don't really go too well. See,
Mm-hmm.
when you're in a marriage, you got to go through that, and you can't go nowhere. You got to
Mm-hmm.
stay home. If you are a man of some type of principles, you got to stay home and deal with the problems. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. So um, that that's what I found marriage does to a person that is in any type of post ministry in Islam. Whether you have a post or not, because Allah will try you.
Mm-hmm.
He will try you.
That's right.
And if you can, under your trial, you still have to be a husband. Under your trial, you still have to make money. Under
Mm-hmm.
your trial, you still have to be a father if you are. Under a trial, you still have to be a man. You know, so that's what I say. To stick to it, and the testing of your faith makes you a better human being all the way around.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
Mhm.
And the follow-up question that I have for you is you served as student minister in Norfolk, Virginia for 14 years. So
Well,
what was
actually,
it?
that's 16 and a half.
16 and a half years. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
ma'am.
So
Mhm.
what are some of the greatest joys that you had serving that community?
Oh, man. I do it again. um, it's just the I don't know, the beauty of the people. I never really wanted to go down to the beach before I started to travel down there every week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't even like the beach like that. So, but when I went down to serve in the post, I met a lot of beautiful people, and they were difficult in the beginning, but once you know black folks open their heart to you, and that's you can't beat that feeling. you
Yes,
know
sir.
they see I always used to marvel at the fact of how um, churches and parishioners treat their ministers. You know, they say, "Brother Minister, how you doing?" And always with a smile. Hey, sometimes you got some bad ones, but in general, they have some reverence for that person. You know, and I didn't quite understand it until I got into the post and successful. See, when there's some success and you don't um, um, beat down on the believers, you try to help them up. I try to go down with a positive spirit every time. All right. And I'm gonna tell you why that's important and how it got to that point. When I was in Petersburg in the ministry, there was a sister that she was coming into the study group when I first started. And she came in one day and I had a foul spirit. We were trying to get some people to the study group at that Sunday. And, it took its toll. And she came in and she said, "Brother, the reason why I come is to see your smile in your spirit. And, now that you're upset, I don't know if I'm gonna come anymore." This is what she said. And sister, that was the last time in my whole ministry career that you would ever see me upset, regardless of what I'm going through. You always have a smile for the believers. See, you put on your game face, and once you do that, it produces an environment that people want to be around, and eventually they just they fall in love with you, and that's what it was. To be taken out of that post was like a divorce, of my second wife. My wife called it the second wife. The people I love. So that's what that was, and if they told me I had to do it again, I'd do it again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because it's just that great of a mission. And the other thing that I'd like to add is one of the greatest highlights of that travel was in 2022 when they declared that this study group in Norfolk was now a mosque. When we were finally recognized as a mosque in the Nation of Islam, that was one of the greatest highlights of that whole trip down there.
Praise be to Allah. Wonderful. Well, I mean, just to lean into that, a little bit, because, especially, a job trying to, do the work in the business of saving, Black people can be a hard job. So,
oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
So, how do you balance being in the ministry, family, and having time for yourself? How do you balance that?
You pray to Allah. That's it. You have to pray to Allah that your constitution will be strong, because all of them will be pulling on you. That's it. My wife, she says that the mosque was my second wife. And, she was competing for time, and, she got a right to me too. Then I had children at the time, and they were, growing up to grow out the house, and they wanted some of my time too. It was really, there was a struggle for balance. There was, but once, you get something going, you can, I call it compartmentalizing. Compartmentalizing to me is living the moment. Okay. So when you are mosque, you throw it all into the mosque, but then you change your face, and then you go home and you be a husband, and then you turn over here and you be a father, then you got to pay bills and you got to go to work and be a worker. You see what I'm saying? So there's the compartmentalizing part is very important. But of course, your mind has to be right because you will have challenges. There will be, you know, um, many, many trials,
Yes,
and
sir.
the God is the key. Is the key.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Now you're
Mhm.
talking about, all these years that Allah has blessed you to be in the Nation of Islam, and really, it's really being chosen to be a part of this work, which is to me, is one of the top blessings that you can really have
Mhm.
in life. Going through the trials that we all go through, what has been the greatest lesson that you feel Allah has taught you thus far?
The greatest lesson. Hmm. Uh, I think I don't know if I'm gonna call it the greatest. There's been so many lessons,
Mhm.
but courage to me is the greatest, one of the greatest growths. When you challenge yourself, it is not that you will not be afraid. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says. He said that courage is what Allah likes. Brave is good,
Mhm.
okay, but brave sometimes is not too good. You should be brave like a lion, not like a bull. Okay.
Mhm.
But courage is when you are afraid in the beginning and you challenge your fear and you overcome your fear. That is what Allah allows. So that's one of the things that I think shaped me as a man, human being, husband, minister. Um, that's one of the, I think, the hallmarks of development and growth that I've gotten. And then the other part, of course, is love. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, Minister Farrakhan in 1983, um, he had just gave a lecture, I think it was in Elmira, New York, and it was a snowstorm, and he was in a hotel, and one of the captains, Captain Dennis, told all the men to come upstairs and meet the minister, of course, with his permission. And I was 83. So the minister had already come to Cortland twice in 81. So I was trying to get him back. I was a, college Black Studies
Yeah.
president. I was trying to, so I said to the minister, he greeted me and he said, I said to him, he said, Brother Minister, if we can get you back to Cortland, would you come on back? And he said, I don't know, brother, but wherever you are, I am.
Mhm.
So that opened my mind. I was okay, yes, brother. Thank you, sir. One of the most genteel, humble man that I've ever met in my life is man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But anyway, I didn't know what that meant, but over time, what it was his love. You
Mhm.
know, that's the greatest. I would say another hallmark of my life, and that is the growth in love for myself, the growth in love for family, growth in love for Allah, but mostly for my people. I love Black people. There've been some hard trials with some crazy Black people, but in general, I love Black people. So that was one of the greatest gifts that I've gotten from him also.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Now, before we go to our sponsors, another question that I want to ask is, what advice would you give to someone who hears the teachings for the first time today?
Oh, you better come back and hear some more. As a matter of fact, I was teaching today in Richmond. It was really, really good, and I spoke to a brother. He accepted, and he wasn't real, sure. I said, "Man, you better continue to come on back and hear some more." All right, and I told him that it took me 3 years to come into the nation. Right, I was, college environment is it's not the same. But I mean, I there was a couple of questions that I had to answer. And later on, as I listened to tapes, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan answered those. And then it solidified to me that this is where I need to go. But you gotta hear more, you know, and go to the source. You might hear from a minister in a mosque, or maybe a friend who's telling you something about Islam, but you got to go to the source. You got to go to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Listen, and if he doesn't move you, well then maybe this is not for you. So.
Yes, sir. I mean, I don't know anybody that the minister. It's just, I mean, I guess it's really no words to describe it, but I don't know anybody that cannot be affected.
Right.
His teachings. So
That's
praise be to Allah.
I 1000% agree.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
since I did forget early on in the show, family, we did go through our station's ID, so we do have that for next week. So I'll continue with our questions for our brother.
Okay.
The next question that we have, as we begin to wind down, is how can young believers remain steadfast in a world filled with distractions?
Keep your eyes on the prize, and striving to be a Muslim does not mean that you will not make mistakes. Don't be so hard on yourself. It's okay. I messed up. I mean, you should hear some of the stories. I sit down and I counsel some husband and wives. Woo. But I'm talking about the young ones too. They made some mistakes. But striving does not mean that you will not make mistakes. It just means that once you make them, all right, dust your shoulders off, get back up on your horse. And that's the biggest advice. Right. This is a very difficult world. This is the world of the devil. It's evil, right? So at every turn, I mean, imagine. Say you got an eating problem. How many commercials that wants you to eat that you see? TV, social media. They got on social media now. You can't even get by that. You're on your phone, you're looking at something good, and all of a sudden you see this big fat juicy hamburger, right? Right? Even good food. And you got these medicines. You got all kinds of problems. I want to lose some weight, so I need Ozempic and all this other stuff. You got that, right? You got gambling. I mean, that's serious, right? You got your favorite ex stars, comedians and professional ball players, and they're over there pushing gambling. Ooh, look how many opportunities, how much subtleties that Satan is pushing in your mind. So yeah, you might fall, but don't stay down. Right? The mark of a good man or a good woman is not how they fall. It's how they what?
They get back.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. And I have a couple of questions that were submitted, so I want to get to the last two questions that we have. One of the questions is, what are you most grateful for as a registered member of the Nation of Islam?
I'm most grateful in that I have an opportunity to grow a city, which is Petersburg, and do the best that I can to spread the word. The worst thing to know that you have the answers to our people's problems, and you're not doing nothing about it. You're just part of the problem. And at a certain time, Allah will require you of that. You know, the scripture says you can't be just a hearer of the word and not doers of the word. You know, our number one and sole purpose is to do what? Bring the dead to the who?
That's
Land
right.
of us.
That's right.
That's the sole purpose. So you over there sitting on your hands, twiddling your thumbs, sucking in all the wisdom. You know where to go to get it. You know, so that to me, I think, is just the opportunity to utilize the skills that I've learned, the experience that I learned, to help to raise another city. That's a great gift. Mm-hmm.
Oh, praise be to Allah. Beautiful, wonderful. And before we go to our next questions, we're gonna go to our sponsors video. So we'll lead and then go ahead and go to that. So Brother Wesley, I'll turn it to you to go ahead and lead to those sponsors videos.
Go ahead, Wes.
Everybody join in this melody. That's the only way we're gonna be free. Everybody singing this sweet refrain. Sing this melody till it gets in your brain. Well, I'm talking to you, Muslim, Christian, and the Hebrew. Here's the thing to do, we got to unite or else we are through. Everybody singing.
Thank you for that video. Thank you to our sponsors. And we're going to get into our final two questions that we have for you. So the first question I have is, when in this world, there's so much put into situationships and dating and just doing it the wrong way. So can you tell us the importance of courtship?
Oh, man. You better do some courting. That's it. I mean, there's nothing else to say but that. The importance of courtship. Like I said, I've counseled some bad marriages, but one of the problems is people meet and they hook up before they court. And the mystery of God's blessings to you has already been done. So now you have to formulate a relationship without courting. See, court means to take that person to court. And the minister said that in a courtship, you are the defense lawyer, the prosecuting lawyer, the judge, the jury, and the executioner. You're everything. He said, ask all the questions. He said, in courtship, you should get them upset and watch how they act. Very important. All right. All those things, check to see if somebody's possessive. There's some people who are, they like micromanaging folks, like guarding you. That's not going to make it for a good marriage. I'm telling you. Right. Some people are overprotective, smothering in a sense. All right. So all these things that you find out in courtship, you need to know these things, because once you say I do, that's it. All right. It's legally binding. And that's the worst time to find out that a person has some issues. All right. Some people had AIDS and didn't tell their spouse until they got married. You know, that question is supposed to be asked during courtship, right? Other diseases, other specters, you know, cancer. They hide that from the person that they were supposedly courting. So that's the time for those questions to be brought up. And like a scientist, you know, you have to, you know, study the person. I think Brother Nori got this from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He said, list 10 things that you like to see in a woman. I'm talking about if you're a man, and vice versa, sister to a man. And he said, don't show the other person, right? So take those 10 things and see if the person stacks up to at least what he said, 7. He said, if they check the box off with 7, that's a potential. You find that out in courtship, right?
That's right.
If it's 6, you on that line, right? If it's 3, that's a project. He said you might not want to, you know, go ahead with that one. That's probably going to be a dud. But when do you do it? You know, in the streets, we just hook up, get together, do our thing, and then we try to piece together something, and we don't know anything about the person that we were with. If we don't court, we can have disastrous results. So, yes, ma'am. That's the value of it.
Yes, sir. And one of the final question before we wind down is that I want to get that was sent. It says, what did you recognize most of the Jesus in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and how does it impact your life?
What did I recognize most about the?
It says, what did you recognize most of the Jesus? I guess they're saying recognizing Jesus in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. How did you recognize him in Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
Well, really, you know, sister, I'm gonna say it this way. I really didn't know Jesus. Not like I know Jesus now, because I know who he is.
That's right.
But when I first came in the nation, it was Louis Farrakhan, Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I didn't really see him as Jesus until I want to say about 1990, 91. I heard him at a lecture in Buffalo, and I went to secure him, and he was teaching about the imminent return of Christ. And he said something to the effect that he was pointing to himself while he was talking about Jesus. And I said, oh, he trying to say something. He tried to say that he is Jesus, but he was talking about it. So that was I believe it was 1990 when he was in Buffalo. And that was the first time that I knew that the minister saw himself as Jesus when he was pointing to himself, talking about Jesus, right? And from that point on, so then at that point I had to formulate basically what a Jesus would look like, what he would do. And then, of course, the minister walks you into the book when you start to study him. And he started to bring out more and more of, the things that he's doing. One of the greatest exercises that the minister did to show that he is in fact the Jesus, to me, was 2010 when he came out, who's the real children of Israel. That did it for me. I was done. I've been in the nation for a long time at that point. But once he did that, I was like, man, that's Jesus straight up, because he dealt with, John, the 8th chapter, the 32nd to the 44th. What he put that in a lecture form, and he gave receipts to prove it. He said, no, not that you just are devils. I got the receipts to show that you are. So those are the instances that I would say that he solidified in me the thought that he is, in fact, Jesus.
Yes, sir. And our last question before we go to our announcements: what is it like being in the presence of the minister?
Oh man, whew. I think I 3, 4, 5 or 6 times. I think just beautiful. I mean, serenity. Except when he's upset. But I mean, that's good too, because you when he has to chastise somebody else, hopefully it's not you. It's tough. It's tough. But most of the encounters that I had was very pleasant, very humbling, and loving. That's a loving man, and he treats everybody with such high respect and honor. And I came up in the martial arts. So, we always bowed anyway, to give honor and show respect to our senseis. But the minister came home one day, I think he went to Japan, and he said in the Orient, most of the people in those countries, they bow to each other. Everybody bows, right? Showing respect, and then he said, then he started to really kind of enforce that amongst the Muslims. He's like, yeah, you should bow to each other. And I got that from him. Just bow. I don't mind. I don't care. I don't care. Yeah, I see God. Sister God and brother God. Love it. And that's one of the things that I kind of enjoyed and really cherished when I came around him. After he greeted me, he bowed. Right? I try to get lower than him. Something. Thank you, Minister. So it's that's the humility, pure humility, and love for Black people. That's what I see in his presence.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. Well, sir, we thank you. I know, we got a little start, but we definitely got, all the questions that we need to get. Of course, we always have, many more, and we hope to have you back on again, because, to hear the stories from our guests is really intriguing, just to see and hear, everyone's path in the Nation of Islam. And it brings a level of transparency, and it lets people know that we're human too. We're not robots.
We're human. That's right. That's right.
We follow a man that, saved our lives, and that helps. It really helps to manifest that truth when we hear the stories from our guests. So I appreciate you so much for coming on.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. And, family, we just have a few announcements before we close out today. If you enjoyed what you heard today, and I'm sure you have, you're welcome to study with the Nation of Islam, to learn the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught by his chief helper, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, by going to www.noy.org. We have weekly webcasts every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Final Call Radio, download on all your devices. Take it with you on the go. Whether you're going to work, you're going to school, you're running errands, there's nothing better to have playing in your ear than the Final Call Radio, having an Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in your ear 24/7, especially in this time. Speaking of the Final Call newspaper, you see the cover on the screen. U.S. reignites war. Support Black media. If you really want to know what's truly going on in the world, support the Final Call newspaper and get the truth. As you see on the top of that, is the time is now to serve your own. So get the Final Call newspaper from one of our brothers on the street. You can go to finalcall.com, and don't forget to get a subscription for our brothers and sisters that are behind bars, because as we know, they can lock them up physically, but they cannot lock up their mind. And one of our last announcements, do you want a book that greatly empowers your child and showcases their self-worth? Look no further than I Never Knew I'm All That, Book 1. This book affirms our children's needs, and it gives them a good book to read that is not a part of that fantasy world. If you want our children to be children, then give them something that helps them to form into baby gods. This book was written by our host, Brother Donald Muhammad, illustrations by Sister Amina Lay. And if you're in the Richmond area, you can come visit every Sunday to hear the reality of God, delivered by Student Minister Tracy Muhammad, the local representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, at 801 Prince Hall Drive in Richmond, Virginia. Here in Baltimore, if you here in Baltimore, you can visit us at 2801 North Dukeland Street at Connection School. You can hear from our local representative in the city of Baltimore, our brother Imam Abdul Salam Muhammad. So with that, family, our sister Louita, who does how Eat Well, Be Well segments, is off today. So I will be taking on the pleasure, and I pray that I do her justice, as we tackle page 26 of How to Eat to Live, Book 1. And it starts with the title, How Allah's Way Prolongs Life. And it says the following: many are advertising what to eat and what medicines to take to make you eat or stop you from eating. Many books are written and sold on good and bad foods, as well as reducing the weight and on how to increase the weight, introducing the many chemicals used to bring about the desired results. But Allah, in the person of Master Muhammad, to whom all praises due forever, has given us a better and safer way to do these things. His way will prolong our lives and do away with our sickness. Let me say that again. His way will prolong our lives and do away with our sickness. And that way is eating one meal a day. Or if we're able to and do not have too much physical work to do, eating one meal every 2 days. This alone will prolong your life. You will not be sick often if you eat once a day and eat the proper food. The proper food is that food which is not poisonous. The slave masters taught us to eat the rough foods, such as field peas, and today, being accustomed to eating them, we still eat them along with sweet potatoes, which are not good for anyone but hogs, and white potatoes, which since they are so starchy and fat and are not good for anyone, unless they are in a zone where they cannot secure better food. We cannot live a long time if we're lading our bodies with fats to burden our hearts and pumping blood through all of this fat. It shortens the time of our heartbeat, and the fat person is in many instances more likely to attract sickness and disease. So family, these are the beautiful teachings that are given to us by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad that will help us live a long life, not only if we read the words, not only if we study them, but we apply them. So I thank you for allowing me these few words on our Eat Well, Be Well segment, and I will close us out in prayer. Attention prayer, family. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. Master of this day of judgment in which we now do live. Thee alone do we serve, and Thee alone do we beseech for Thine aid. O Allah, guide us on the right path, the path upon whom Thou hast bestowed Thy favors, not the path upon whom Thy wrath has been brought down, nor those who go astray after hearing those teachings. Amen. Thank you, family. Assalamu alaikum.
This house is dedicated to knowledge and to the spreading of knowledge. Elijah Muhammad inspired new thought, new mind, new way of civilization among black people. But he wanted a house from which a light could be lifted up to give guidance to all who would be guided as this world begins to close down. This National Center for the re-education and retraining of the black man and woman, but for the totality of the human family of our planet. I named this mosque after the only woman that the Quran names a chapter after, the mother of Jesus, Maryam. All human beings need to be re-educated. That is the purpose of the National Center.